Hello there, welcome to the show. The smiles are only just beginning to disappear from Hearts fans' faces after Sunday's game against Celtic. Not the most convincing performance we've seen from the side this season, but a point to point, and Jim Jefferies and the boys are still very much up there in the race for the title. The highlights and the celebrations coming up in all their glory in just a moment. Later in the show, we'll be looking back to the 60s and an absolute roller coaster of a Scottish Cup tie, just to get you in the mood for the weekend. And we catch up with Roddy McKenzie, who's trying to wrestle that #1 shirt out of the hands of Mr. Rousset. Joining us in the studio to discuss all that is the inimitable Gary Locke. We'll hear from him in just a second. But first to the action. After all the talk and all the hype, Celtic came to Tynecastle on Sunday and turned in one of their most impressive performances of the season. Still, 93 minutes after kick-off, there weren't many smiles in the away stand. David Harron reports.
The hype surrounding this game was the kind of thing that only the Spice Girls are normally used to, and the Hearts players have been subject all week to saturation Glaswegian media coverage. Despite all this, Hearts started well, and Colin Cameron tasted Jonathan, my great-great-granny was Scottish gold after only 2 minutes. Gradually, however, Celtic were to make their physical presence tell, forcing a succession of corners which Hearts defended perhaps less convincingly than Jim Jefferies might have liked. Still, no lasting damage was done. Not at least until 5 minutes before half-time. Harold Bratback was allowed to drift across the front of the Hearts defence, and the ball broke to Jackie McNamara, who fired past Roddy McKenzie. The second half was to bear similarities to the first. Hearts gave Gould an early scare, this time through a Neil McCann corner, before Celtic took control. As Celtic are clearly trying to match Rangers in all departments, Harold Bratback decided to give the fans a miss to conjure up the words Peter van Bossen. This was certainly not Harold's day, and Roddy McKenzie pulled off a great save with his dish the next time he broke through. Hearts threw on Jose Katongo, Thomas Flogel and Jim Hamilton in an attempt to get back on level terms, but it seemed their chance had gone when Gould blocked efforts from first David Weir, who everyone was surprised to see on the park in the first place, and then Gary Naismith. Celtic looked like they were set to finally seal the points with 3 minutes left, but McKenzie again produced a wonderful save from Stefan Maye. Then it was time for the Jose show. This is the kind of moment of adrenaline which makes people buy season tickets, and there's no real need to describe the following pictures. The Celtic fans didn't seem too chuffed about this, but then their teams never scored a late goal against Hearts. Or have they?
Nothing wrong with a good old bit of euphoria, never did anybody any harm. Gary, we'll get down to breaking down the game in just a minute, but I've been waiting 3 days to ask you this. What was that dressing room like after the match?
Obviously we were delighted, it's a great time to get a goal. As you said in the report there, a lot of times Celtic have got a last minute goal against us, so it's nice to turn that around.
It wasn't the best performance all round from Hearts, was it, to be fair? I mean, so a Celtic fan suggested to me on the way out the ground that Hearts were guilty of robbery. Is that fair?
I don't think so. I mean, we battled hard. Celtic did have the better chances, and I know I went home, watched it on Monday again, and I felt we didn't do too bad. Obviously we never made enough chances as we would have liked, but you know, I think a 1-1 draw was a good result for us.
I think we can have a look at some of the action now. You can maybe talk us through some of the The most important points of the game. Here we go, the Katongo goal.
It was brilliant, absolutely superb. He turned well there. Fergus is unlucky with the shot, but magnificent goal.
It was a good substitution, wasn't it? I mean, Jim said he wanted a bit of a spark, and that's certainly what he got out of Jose.
That's right, he's been a lucky sub for us. He always comes on and manages to get himself on the score sheet, but I think that's the most important goal he's scored his Hearts career so far.
He was determined, wasn't he? I mean, just keeps trying, never
That's
loses
right.
sight of it, and it paid off.
Neil McCandon, brilliant there. He got in. I know he made a really good tackle, but Jose just stepped up and got a wee lucky deflection, but luckily enough for us it ended up in the back of the net.
He's a smiler at the best of times, isn't he? What's he been like, unbearable so far this week?
He's been good. We had Monday off. Apparently he was in fine fit on Monday because he was in training, but we were training the day again and he was laughing as usual.
What was the gaffer saying to you after the game? He must have been fairly happy.
He was just delighted with the way that we battled right to the end. Obviously the game lasts the whole 90 minutes. That's what you get paid to do. You've got to work right till the death, and it showed your fighting qualities, I think. And we were delighted that Jose got the goal when he did.
I think the pictures of Jim's reaction to the goal speak for themselves. I don't know whether we can have a look at them just now. There we go. He doesn't quite know what's going on here, and then
That's right.
he's euphoric, isn't he? That just proves exactly what he's got in his heart, doesn't it?
That's right. He says himself after the game he is a big jambo just like the rest of us. I think they're going to have to make the technical area a wee bit bigger at Tynecastle for his goal celebrations.
Absolutely. Well, I think we all went home a bit kind of dirt in the knees after that when it was spectacular scenes. You yourself, your role was slightly, well, you were pushed up in the midfield of the game because David Weir was back. You couldn't have expected that.
That's right. Great credit to Big Cross. I mean, he's done brilliant. He had the operation about 12 days ago and he trained on the Friday. He looked as if he'd never been away. Obviously we trained Saturday again and he made the decision that he was fit to play. So I was delighted because it meant that I could push up into the midfield and he got put back to right back.
Good stuff. Just before we leave league business, Gary, let's have a look at the league table. We can have a look at that. There we go. Still makes very pleasant reading, doesn't it?
That's right, we're up there with a chance. As long as we can win our next few games and keep challenging, there's no reason why we can't stay up there.
Happy days. Thanks for your time just now, Gary. More from you in just a couple of minutes. But after the exertions against Celtic, league business is put to one side for the next few days. On Saturday, it's back to the Cup, and Albion Rovers are the visitors to Tynecastle. A quarter-final place is at stake, of course, but as we've found out already this season, you can't take too much for granted against the lower division sides.
Yeah, we had a hard game against Clydebank. You know, they gave us a fright and they could have been up early doors. But I seen Albion Rovers against Livingston, and obviously it's a big game for them, and it's got to be a big day, and they've got to come and do what most teams from that league do. They'll make it difficult for us. They'll sit back and try and hit us in the break, and it becomes frustrating. But it's certainly a game that we should be capable of winning. If we'd been going to Clifton Hill, it would have been 1 o'clock on a Saturday, so it's not so bad that it's at Tynecastle. And we've got a good crowd behind us, and I hope it's a good day, and we play with a bit of flair. And they've got guys like Tony Shepherd and Willie Waters, who've been about, and the big lad at the back, Paul Martin. They've got Ronnie Coyle that played with Wraith Rovers when they won the League Cup, and Martin Melvin, it was with us at Falkirk for a wee while. So they're experienced, but if we play at the pace that we should be required to play at, we should be too much for them. But very rarely games now are 6-7-0, and we'll have to play and we'll have to keep up the pace. But I'm sure if we go about in the right manner, we'll get the right result.
The thoughts of Billy Brown there, he sounds confident. Gary, what are you thinking going into this game?
It'll be a hard game. Clydebank showed that in the last round, the first sort of 20 minutes. They had a couple of chances, I think they hit the post early doors, so we'll not be taking the game lightly, but we've got to start the game well, and hopefully we'll do that and get a result and get us in the next round.
How much did you learn, do you think, from the Clydebank game? I mean, obviously these games are like cup finals for the lower division sides coming to Tynecastle anyway.
That's right. I think the first 10-15 minutes is always a battle, and you've got to try and get the supporters on your side early doors, so you then have a couple of sort of cracks at the goal, and supporters maybe turn on you a wee bit, because they do expect you to go out and beat teams such as Clydebank and Albion Rovers. So if we can start the game well, then hopefully we'll go on and get a good result.
How much do you need to know about the Albion Rovers team are coming through? And Billy was talking through a few of the names here, but you can't be all that familiar with the individual or style of play.
That's right. I mean, Billy might have watched them last week when they played Livingston, and he says that they battled hard for each other, and obviously they got a great result. We played Livingston earlier on in the Coca-Cola Cup, and they weren't a bad side, so if they've put Livingston out, they can't be that bad, so we'll have to be on our toes if they get a good result.
How much does it help you put league business to one side? There's so much hype about the league at the moment as well. Is it a welcome break in the Cup?
It's a welcome break. It's a different kind of game. You have to be on your toes right from the start, because if you have one bad performance in the Cup, you'll be out, so hopefully we can play well on Saturday.
Good stuff. We'll wait and see. Cheers, Gary. Well, that's it for the first half of the show, but don't go away. We're back in just a couple of minutes with a vintage Hearts performance from the 60s and Roddy McKenzie on Life Between the Sticks. See you later.
Discover the best ever.
Welcome back. After all the exertions of the weekend, Hearts have a fortnight's rest from league business. It's Albion Rovers at Tynecastle on Saturday with a cup quarter-final place at stake. And just to set you up for that one, we've dug out a classic cup performance from the archive. Dundee United were the opposition in a game that turned into a goal fest.
Well, taken by Mitchell, but he's a little short with it. That's a good interception by Thompson. Ford. And you can see the player slithering around there. It's a very difficult substance. Muller. Oh, very neatly done. To the line if he can get rid of it. First goal. And it's into the second attempt. The Dundee United defence completely strung out there. Under pressure from Wilson. Oh, a nice flick from Townsend. Muller's going on, and this is where a man shot might be very important. It's a goal! And Muller has taken that goal brilliantly to make the score. Dundee United 0, Hearts 2. Roland. Oh, Wilson scores! A bad pass back there. Thompson the culprit. Davy Wilson nipped in very quickly, and it's 2 goals within a minute to make the score. Dundee United 1, Hearts 2, and that's a shot in the arm for United. Seaman. Wilson on, yes, Wilson's on. He was played on. Over it goes. Chance for Roland. Goal! 2 each. Dundee United 2, Hearts 2. Davy Wilson. Trainer's loose there. That was rather a waste of a ball. A free kick against Anderson. Miller. Oh, nice flick, chance. Goal! 3-2, delightful head flick by Davy Wilson. Hearts defence, solid C. Centre forward Mitchell stabbed it beyond Garland. Here come the Hearts in deputation to the linesman. But he won't have any. He won't have any. And after the most brilliant of starts, Hearts are down 3 goals to 2. And we've been playing exactly half an hour. And Muller has been making his opinions felt to referee Davidson, and he's certainly going to be booked. He's going to be booked. Thompson to the line, well turned across, headed away by Nielsen. Wilson lying there, and no messing, first time away. Miller loses it. This could be 4 if Rollins got enough speed. He's coming in, he's overrun it. He lifts it, 7, and it's there! 4-2. 7 turned the 10, stopped on the line, and Mitchell forced it over to make the score after only 38 minutes play. Dundee United 4, Hearts 2. Irvine for Hearts, Nice run. Right footed across goal. Chance for Trainer, must be three. Too slow. Blocked. What a chance that was. And there's referee Davidson joining the scramble, the very edge of the penalty area. Trainer should have made that 4-3. Well, Trainer hesitated just that step too long there, and here's Townsend. Lofted to the far post. And there's a great goal! Eddie Thompson has made it 4-3. The ball coming out of Araka players. He took his time, swung, and the ball raged into the top corner. Well, with 2 minutes to half time, the score is Dundee United 4, Hearts 3. He's not going to get his length. Well turned. Muller, beautiful goal! Muller took it first time, hook shot. And Hearts have tied the match at 4 goals all. 7 minutes in the second half. Muller's made 2, scored 2 rather, and made 1. Heaney. There's a goal! And Garland to 3 brilliant saves. Got adrift with that one. Donald for this time, an out swinger. Taylor. And it's kicked off the line. It's a penalty though. The referee has decided that Cameron kept that ball off the line with the assistance of an arm. And here's a chance for it to become 5-all. Eddie Thompson can't bear to look, but he's forcing himself to do so here. Mackay crouched on his line. And it's there. 5-all. 10 goals, 2 penalties, 3 bookings. You can't reasonably ask for anything more. Well, Cameron, who so nearly saved that Trainer shot. Well, what's happening here? And there's Haney going to be booked. The first Dundee United booking. Any of Dundee United booked for a foul in Townsend. George Miller with the free. Swinging it to the right. Beyond everybody. And it's a throw in. Cameron hoping for the goal kick, of course. Doug Smith kicks for touch. Gillespie, it was a dangerous one, Irvine. Chance for Irvine. Goal! Gillespie tried to put it across his area. Irvine has put Hearts in the lead with 6 minutes to play.
And that's how it finished, 6-5. A nice bit of nostalgia that. We'll not be hoping for such a nail-biter this weekend, of course. Hearts, incidentally, that year went on to the Cup final where they lost out to Dunfermline, many of you might remember. Well, like most of the current Hearts side, Roddy McKenzie wasn't even around when that game was played, but he showed maturity beyond his years over the last few weeks when he's been called in to replace the injured Gio Rousset. George Wright met up with him to chat about life and his ambitions.
Roddy McKenzie has had to wait 5 years at Tynecastle before being given his first decent run in the top team. Within his time at the club, McKenzie has worked under many different keepers and recognises the importance of the experienced players around him.
I think you take bits off everybody. I think when you look at Nicky, his work rate, you know how fit he was, I think you try and bring that into your game, and Henry had good feet, Shields has got good hands, you know, so there's bits of everybody in there, I think.
What would you say is your strongest points?
I think my feet are quite good. My feet get me into position quite quick, which helps you out, because if you're there a wee bit quicker, it means you've got more time to make the saves, you know, so I think my feet are a big asset to me.
Last year, McKenzie was farmed out to Stenhousemuir to gain experience, and it was with the second division outfit that he had one of his fondest moments in his short career.
I was out there for a year on loan and it was brilliant. I just met the manager again this morning, so we were chatting away for a couple of minutes, but it was brilliant playing at a higher level than I would have been playing at the time. you know, and it was nice to get a wee bit of publicity with winning the cup, and it was just all good that year. I think experience is everything, you know, especially when you're young. People are maybe a wee bit scared to take a wee chance with you. You know, they're looking for somebody who's old and who's been around and has gained a lot of experience, you know, but the only way you get experience is by playing. And I think I learned a lot when I was at Stennismuir. And it can be frustrating at times when you're not playing and you're sitting at the side and watching the game, you know, but it's a mental thing you have to get over, because that's the way it is. You know, every keeper has experienced that at some point, and if you're still hanging in when you're about 26, you know, then from then on you should really be playing all the time.
Do you feel the pressure when you go into the first team games now, or nervous at all?
Still very nervous. I don't want to make any mistakes, you know, because I don't want to let the team down, you know, because I only play a few games, so I want to do the best I can, and hopefully we win the game, and if I play well, so be it, but I don't want to let anybody else down.
Gilles Rousset has missed the last 3 games through injury, but admits that in his absence his gloves are left in safe hands.
I think he's a good shot stopper, you know, and he's good. He's got good hands, but the main thing is he's working very hard on training, and for a goal is very important.
I'm not quite sure about the big French guy. I don't know what he's like, you know, I'm a wee bit unsure about him. But give him a couple of years and we'll see how he is.
He's not as successful in finals as you are.
No comment.
You have a diplomatic George right there. I'm not sure he'll get away with that one. Seriously though, Gary, you came through the ranks together with Roddy, didn't you? It must be pleasing to see him getting a chance.
It's great. He's a quality goalkeeper. He's worked really hard, and he's saying there he went to Stenhousemuir for a year. He got a lot of publicity there, but anybody would with the goalie top that he wore that day in the cup final. But he's a quality big goalkeeper. I'm delighted for him.
He's handled pressure well, hasn't he? I mean, it's been thrust on him, and he's been thrust into the limelight lately, but he's done well.
He's done brilliant. I mean, he had a quality save there against Dundee United, and he's a confident lad. And in the training, he's always moaning at everybody. He's one of the grumpiest guys you'll ever meet. But you know, he's came in, he's done really well.
Good stuff. With Gilles Rousset being such a kind of fan's favourite and such a permanent fixture, could it get depressing for somebody like Roddy, do you think, being understudy for that long?
I think so, but they say that a goalkeeper's got plenty of time. They can play sort of into their 40s. So he's still young, and obviously, as he said there, he would like to be playing every week, but with big Gilles in the form that he is, it's going to be hard for him.
Briefly, Gary, encouraging that so many players from the successful youth side still coming through the ranks.
That's right, all credit has to go to Sandy Clark for one, and obviously the gaffer now for giving us all a chance again.
Good stuff, Gary. Thanks very much indeed for joining us this week. Well, that's it from the Hearts Club. We're back again next week, same time, same place, here on Sky Scottish at 7:30, with more of the best from inside Tynecastle. Hopefully a cup quarter-final to look forward to too. So join us then if you can. Until then though, from Gary Locke and from myself,